Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a truly groundbreaking academic white paper by Dr. Bachara Saheli. And let me tell you, it completely reimagines how we understand human well-being. It's a text that pushes us way, way beyond the traditional boundaries of medicine and biology. So to start things off, we really have to ask ourselves a pretty fundamental question. Is health really just the absence of disease? Think about our modern, highly fragmented disease care models. I mean, sure, they're absolutely incredible at diagnosing and treating specific isolated issues, but simply fixing a broken part or suppressing a symptom, that isn't the same thing as actually creating health. We so often treat the human body like a broken machine that just needs a quick mechanical fix, completely ignoring the massive, complex world surrounding it. Well, enter the Life-Coherent Framework. True health doesn't just happen in a vacuum. This framework shows how health bridges our inner biology with our outer environment in this beautifully elegant, totally interconnected system. We live our lives through continuous relationships with our food, our water, our housing, our work, and our broader ecology. When these connections support us, health naturally emerges. And when they don't, that's exactly when disease surfaces. Okay, here's a quick roadmap for our explainer today. 1. Beyond just fixing disease. 2. Salutogenesis, which is our inner biology. 3. Salugenesis, the outer field. 4. Bridging the inner and outer. And finally, 5. The 6 levels of life. Let's get into it. Starting right off with Section 1, Beyond Just Fixing Disease, Reimagining Human Health. The absolute crucial point here, the core metric that this entire text anchors on is something called life capacity. Because health isn't just about surviving day to day. It's the real embodied capacity to live, develop, repair, and learn. It means actually possessing the dignity, belonging, and agency to fully participate in life. Think about it. If a medical intervention lowers a clinical biomarker on a lab test, but increases a patient's fear, dependency, or humiliation, can we really call that a complete health success? No way. Life capacity demands that we look at the whole picture. Moving on to Section 2, Salugenesis, the inner biology. So what exactly is that? The source text defines salutogenesis as the internal biological process where living systems actually complete their healing. You see, healing isn't just the passive fading away of a symptom. It's a highly active, resource-consuming biological cycle. Think of it like a city repairing a collapsed bridge, right? It takes massive, coordinated work and energy to transition from a state of emergency danger all the way back to normal, everyday readiness. And this builds right into what's known as the healing completion cycle. When threatened, our cells literally hit the panic button. That's a cell danger response, shifting away from their normal growth processes to prioritize defense. Next up is inflammation, which is a totally necessary alarm bell. But if that alarm doesn't eventually turn off, the healing process gets blocked. Following inflammation, the body has to rebuild tissues and finally reintegrate them for functional use. The big takeaway here, if you get stuck anywhere in this cycle, that is exactly where chronic disease takes root. All right, Section 3, Salutogenesis, the outer field. Now notice the contrast here because it's super important. Salugenesis is the inner completion of healing, right? But salutogenesis with a T, that is the surrounding affordance field that actually creates and sustains our health. You literally cannot heal internally if your external world is constantly triggering your biological alarms. Chronic stress, environmental toxins, systemic insecurity, these things make it biologically impossible for your cells to ever move from defense mode into repair mode. To maintain what the text calls a sense of coherence, we desperately need generalized resistance resources. Just look at these examples. Secure housing, safe water, time for actual rest, meaningful work. These are absolutely not just lifestyle bonuses or fancy political talking points. They are literal biological imperatives. Without them, totally ordinary daily demands just become overwhelming stressors. But when our environment provides these resources, it makes health-supporting ways of living possible, safe, and repeatable. Let's pull this together in Section 4, Bridging Inner and Outer. This brings us to what is arguably the absolute crux of the entire text. Listen to this. Health is sustained when exposures remain within restorative capacity. It is a profound, non-stop balancing act. You and I are constantly exposed to physical, chemical, and psychosocial demands every single day. As long as our body's ability to repair itself outpaces those demanding exposures, we stay healthy. And to maintain that crucial balance, we absolutely have to protect our restorative margins. These are our vital reserves of time, energy, safety, and trust that absorb all of life's disturbances. Think of it exactly like your phone battery. If you never plug it in, eventually it dies, no matter how amazing the hardware is. Without protected time for sleep, proper nutrition, and cellular maintenance, our internal dynamic systems just fail. We literally run out of the metabolic margins required to heal. All right, the final piece of the puzzle, Section 5, the 6 levels of life. You really have to appreciate the sheer scale of this framework. It acts as a massive architecture that links our microscopic biology directly to our macroscopic civilization. It proves without a doubt that a patient is never just an isolated body. We are organisms in relation. We are intimately tied to our food systems, our laws, our technologies, and our ecosystems. Let's cleanly break down these 6 levels real quick. It starts right down at our cellular architecture. Then it moves up to our organismal systems, like our neuroendocrine and immune networks. Then up into psychosocial behavior. Level 4 is how all of this embeds over the course of our entire life. Level 5 is the salugenic affordance field, our surrounding immediate niche. And level 6 is the broad civilizational niche. The absolutely vital takeaway here: external social and environmental determinants transduce directly into our internal biology. The outside world literally becomes our inner health. Of course, our systems often have massive blind spots and fail to recognize harm. The text identifies these as blind spots and capture modes. For instance, normalized violence happens when entirely preventable burdens, like unsafe housing or extreme chronic stress, just become expected and routine. Then there's metric capture, which is when systems only care about what is easy to measure on a spreadsheet, completely ignoring unmeasured human suffering. Ultimately, society often displaces these massive systemic burdens onto individuals, expecting people to just be resilient rather than actually fixing the structural issues causing the harm in the first place. So we end today with the text's ultimate life master question. What must we recognize, name, measure, and transform in the organism-niche relation so that life capacity flourishes for all within the web of life, now and for future generations? It is a deeply provocative thought to leave you with, isn't it? True healing requires so much more than just medicine. It requires us to fundamentally reshape the environments we live in. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this framework sparks your curiosity to look at health in an entirely new, life-coherent way. Catch you next time.